What is shaking, everyone? So today I got the platinum for Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster for you all. According to PSN profiles, this game is a 3 out of 10 difficulty with at least 3 playthroughs and takes about 20 hours or so. Unless you're awful like me and it takes more because you don't know how to pay attention to details. This just reminds me of the days as a child. There are no missable trophies, but we do have one terrible grind of a trophy.
That's terrible.
But we'll get to that later in the video. Alright, so let's go over the steps that need to be done. Step 1, just do a full playthrough, and I typically just like to play my first playthroughs without any guides, which if you aren't a fan of that, then I would definitely recommend some kind of guide when playing. While there are no missable trophies, there are missable events, which will then make you have to play through the story again. Wait, then wouldn't that make some of the trophies missable? Step 2 is to knock out the survival modes. This involves both 5-day and 7-day survival modes. Then our last step, Step 3, involves any miscellaneous trophies and the big grind that is getting our zombie kills. Either way, we have to do multiple playthroughs, so we will have to figure it out as we go. Okay, so this is Dead Rising. You play as this guy, Frank West, a freelance photographer, kind of a washed up glory hound. He catches wind that something big is going down in some little town in Colorado called Willamette. And instead of staying the hell out of the way like a normal person, he bribes a pilot to fly him right into it. So naturally the first thing the game wants you to do is to take a photo. And in doing so, we got a trophy. Frank sees the chaos that is going on in the city with all the zombies everywhere and wants to take a closer look, so he tells the pilot to drop him off on the top of the local mall. We get on the roof and we meet some dude named Carlito. The bro looks like he charges $4,000 to teach divorced dads how to rediscover their masculine energy. We head on inside and we get ourselves our second trophy. We head to the main area of the mall and we meet some people. They tell us about the zombies and this old geezer tells us to get some stuff to help blockade the doors. I wanted to check out all the zombies, so I had Frank do what he does best and take some pictures. We got 2 trophies in doing this. Just a heads up, if you're going to play this game, this is a great way to farm up some major XP, or as the game calls it, PP. I did this for a couple minutes and got some major PP.
Fantastic. Got it?
Something you will need for a trophy later on anyway, so it's well worth getting real quick. Plus, it's going to make your run a lot easier because your stats will be boosted and you'll be a lot stronger to fight off enemies. As a photojournalist, there are 2 major things we need to make sure we take photos of. Those are taking pictures of survivors and this game's version of collectibles, PP stickers. Well, speaking of survivors, we met our 10th survivor and we took a photo of them. So the zombies break in possibly the dumbest way possible. This old hag lost her dog. She sees her dog in the group of zombies on the other side of the door and she just rushes the door and opens it. Lady, there are like 8,000 zombies outside and your dog looks completely fine. Maybe take a hint. But of course not. She opens the door and they barge in, eating her and pretty much everyone else. We fight our way through and get ourselves back to the security room. This hub will be the main location for a lot of the storylines and also the location we want to bring all the survivors. We meet 2 law enforcement people named Jesse and Brad. So we now start the main portion of the game and here's the catch. The chopper isn't coming back for 72 hours. So it's 3 days, 1 mall, and a camera. You're putting together what caused the outbreak while dragging survivors to safety, and every now and then the game throws some completely unhinged lunatic at you for a boss fight. I headed on through and while I was going around, I decided to fall down the top of this shelving and got a trophy for doing it. The game has an abundance of costumes and at some point we were going to have to find them all anyways. But in the meantime, the game does reward us for changing into our first 5. We also took care of taking pictures of more PP stickers, which was fine, not a problem at all. So a large part of the game is killing zombies, but there are also these large elite enemies known as psychopaths. We encounter our first psychopaths in the park area that is located outside in the middle of the mall. There are 3 convicts driving around on a Humvee and have a turret attached to it. Stealing the car from them gives us a trophy. With so many zombies in this game, you can imagine there are a lot of trophies tied to doing a lot of the side challenges, many of which we just got naturally by playing the game. Our first one was related to us using a parasol as a weapon and knocking 10 zombies aside. I got a trophy for firing 300 bullets. Judging by this footage, roughly 280 of them missed. I got a trophy for killing my 1000th zombie, which is weird because when I got straight A's, nobody gave me shit. I got so sidetracked with side quests, I wasn't really paying attention to the clock, and I was trying to do too much in my first playthrough. I was notified that I lost a chance on a scoop. My thought was, since I was so early in the game, I should just restart and do it over. And that's what I decided to do. Luckily enough, that gave me a trophy. So for whatever reason, the convicts do not count as killing our first psychopath. And so our first kill opportunity is killing Bozo the Clown, aka Adam. Adam's controlling some suspended roller coaster in the mall. We kill him and get a trophy, and we also arguably get the best weapon in the game in the chainsaws. All items have a durability bar below their icons in blue. Once that runs out, the item breaks. We get a trophy after breaking our 30th item. One way in doing so was putting masks on zombies. I needed to put 10 of them, and in doing so, I got a trophy. Just like how I had to photograph the survivors, I also needed to photograph the psychopaths, which in Dead Rising mostly means figuring out which guy is having a mental breakdown and which guy is just from Florida. I then wanted to go for a drive and ran over 500 zombies. Somewhere out there is a zombie Make-A-Wish kid whose dream was to survive. In the game, there's a cult. After killing 100 of them, you got a trophy. Honestly, if those robes had come with pointier hats, this would have been the easiest moral decision of the entire game. Then I had some more simpler miscellaneous trophies that I like to just kind of run through. I made a jump with a motorcycle. I then went crowd surfing. I then took a break and decided to take some drive shots out of the park to work on my swing. I then felt accomplished because I did something in a video game that I know I could never do in real life. And I ran the distance of a marathon. And unlike real marathon runners, I didn't feel the need to tell everyone about it every 5 minutes. I continued to take more photos of survivors and got rewarded for 30 of them.
Perfect.
Okay, so then when going around the mall, there's this guy named Otis who hangs out in the security area. He sends out calls through the walkie-talkie. After listening to this poor guy 30 times and I answered all of his calls, we got a trophy. I then got rewarded for taking down 10 psychopaths. With the bonus PP I got early in the game, I got rewarded for getting to max level. Our law enforcement buddies couldn't make the 72 hours, and sadly, they made a turn for the worse. After our boy Brad and Jesse are gone, the special forces break into the mall. So naturally, we got to show them the business and show them we run this mall. But we weren't done there. We then took out 20 more with our bare hands. So much so that even Mr. Miyagi would be proud of us. By this point, the game was throwing trophies at me left and right. I survived 72 hours, rescued enough people to make Frank West an honorary social worker, and unlocked overtime mode. I then took out a helicopter. So then I worked my way through the rest of the overtime mode and unlocked the true ending. While completing the 72 hours was great, I don't want to spoil too much, but basically what happens is your helicopter crashes and you end up being stuck in the mall for much, much longer. So in order to get yourself the true ending, you're basically tasked to do a couple more things. You have to go and get a couple more supplies. You end up having to help out a character named Isabella, who is basically a doctor who can build a repellent that can get you through a tunnel filled with zombies. Once you get to that point, you get to the exit of the tunnels and there's a Humvee ready for you to get out. While you're heading out, you get bombarded by a tank. You take out that tank, and once the tank is taken out comes out the commander of the special forces, this guy named Brock. You take him out, and then you finally get the true ending. In doing that, we got ourselves the trophy, and we finished out the full story. So, story-wise, we were finished and good to go. We just needed to take on the remaining miscellaneous trophies and basically some challenges that we had to do. And then, of course, we get to the big part, the grind. So let's take care of a couple of the miscellaneous trophies that I had to get. I got another miscellaneous trophy by working my bowling skills. I then needed to create every type of juice available in the game. I unlocked all the costumes and wore each one.
All right.
So the next thing I did was I took the time to tackle what is considered the 2 most difficult trophies in the game at this point. Those 2 trophies are the 5-day and 7-day survivor. So what makes these so challenging is that you're now in the mall and you got to survive beyond 3 days. But not only that, you're now limited to the items that you have. For example, like when you're trying to get food, one thing is that the supermarket is closed. You can't go there and get food to regain your health. There's specific locations where food is found and that food doesn't respawn. You need food obviously to keep yourself alive. But on top of that, your health is diminishing over time. So you have to actually continue to keep your health up. And in doing so, you obviously have to keep moving because there's special forces and zombies around, and in random locations there's bosses that are spawning. Those bosses are just the NPCs within the game. They're previous bosses that you fought and you fight them again, and you want to definitely fight them because if you don't, they drop good items such as juices, food. Especially what they like to drop is they drop meat. What you want to do is take them someplace to cook them. I recommend finding yourself a toaster oven and putting them in there. Once you've done that, it really improves the amount of health you get back. The most important important thing to do though at the start of your run is to immediately locate the 3 books that you need the ability to get as much health back. There are 3 locations on where you can get those books. I recommend going to a guide to get that, but that's totally up to you. Once you have those, then the best thing to do is just to go to a bathroom, and once you go to the stalls, you can actually look at your watch and you can speed up time. You pay attention to your health bar as you speed up time, and once you get really close to that last bar of health, you then eat an item, boost up your health, and then just rinse and repeat. All you're going to do is just keep going over and over again until you get to the time of 5 days, and then obviously till 7 days. This took me a couple of attempts, honestly. I just made some stupid mistakes from time to time. There was times where I sped up time too fast and I actually starved myself to death and I died. There was also times where I just honestly did not plan out my food consumption properly and I couldn't find certain items. So really, I do recommend, if you're someone that wants to try to get it done like on the first try, watch a guide, find something to help you with that, so that way you're not spending as many attempts as I did. Because especially the 7-day survivor, that can definitely take some time. It is not something that's going to be done within like, you know, an hour. It definitely takes a little bit longer than that. And honestly, it happened to me twice where I was really at the end. I think I died twice at 6 days, and it was definitely frustrating. So something to keep in mind. All right, so all that's left is a couple of the grind ones. This was just the beginning of the grind here. But see, on the classic game back on the PS3 and Xbox 360, you had to get all the kills in one single playthrough, which would have been one brutal of a grind, honestly, if they kept that the way it was now. Luckily, I didn't have to do that. While working my way to the ultimate goal, I got 2 kill-related trophies. One for getting 100 rocket kills, and another for killing 10,000 zombies. As I mentioned earlier, the guide says that there's no missable trophies, but I would say that that is completely wrong. Luckily, the game keeps things such as collectible totals and kills to carry over each time. Here are a few things that I missed. After killing the clown, there's a missable moment where you gotta take the guy you saved to the nearby bathroom, and he opens a secret passageway. I then concluded all of my collectibles, where there are technically 2 collectibles that are missable. There's a secret room that the cult has that they have to abduct you in order to gain access. However, after a certain mission where you kill the cult leader, the cult members disappear and you no longer have access to that room. So this was another where I had to start over and make sure to get this on a separate playthrough. Now, a trophy I do recommend having a guide, as there's just far too much to manage on your own, and there are just some things that honestly I probably would not have known if it wasn't for a guide. The trophy for getting at least 50 survivors out of the mall, it has a lot of things to account for, and honestly there's some unspoken moments in survivors that you just don't know about that you really, without a guide, would just really struggle. But once you do this, you get a really good in-game reward, but we'll talk about that when we get to the grind, because the item you get is what basically makes the grind a whole lot easier. At the end of your 50 survivor run, if you haven't gotten the trophy yet, you should have also unlocked the trophy for collecting all portraits. We then had 2 trophies that if you do it the right way, you can get them both at the same time. I didn't realize this until afterwards, but nonetheless, this is something you can be aware of on your playthrough. You will need to escort 8 survivors at once, but also you will need to escort 8 female survivors simultaneously. Doing the latter will unlock both trophies. Now for the last trophy, which will likely be everyone's last trophy when going for this platinum. The trophy Zombie Annihilator requires you to kill a total of 53,594 zombies throughout all of your playthroughs. While not considered overall difficult, this is just simply time consuming. Luckily, because I got the Saint trophy ahead of this, we were able to unlock a new book that gave us unlimited ammo. So we got ourselves a rocket launcher from the Special Forces and made our way into one of the tunnels and did some farming. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this part of it was a brutal grind in the sense that it just took a really long time. It wasn't difficult in any way, shape, or form, as I mentioned. However, it can be a little boring because you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're just shooting rocket after rocket after rocket after rocket, and getting yourself these kills takes such a long time. I want to say that once I got to the point of starting this grind, I was well under 15,000 kills. So I had to get myself a good solid 40,000-ish kills, and that took about, honestly, until I got myself in an efficient pathway of just doing this, it honestly took me a couple hours. I want to say at minimum 2 to 3 hours of doing this, which To some people it might not sound too bad, but when you're just doing the same thing over and over and you're just on their last trophy and you're just done with the game and you have no reason to play, it can get kind of annoying. But other than that, it's not too bad. Like I said, there's definitely games out there that are much worse, so I can't complain too much. But in doing so, once the whole grind is done, our Zombie Annihilator trophy popped, and then the platinum was ours. After 53,594 dead zombies, several dead survivors, and enough pee-pee to make Capcom's HR department uncomfortable, we went on a trip down memory lane. This really brought me back to the 360 PS3 days and truly makes me hope that we can bring back more games like this in the future. The game overall was a lot of fun, and I was able to finish this in about 25 hours or so. I hope this video motivates you to play it as well, as it's definitely a fun platinum journey outside of the last kill grind. Thank you for watching. Take a moment to comment down below what's a game that you'd like to see on this channel. I'll take that game in for consideration. And let's not forget, we are all along for the ride.